The morning sun had just begun to rise over the quiet town of Willow Creek. Birds chirped softly, and a gentle breeze moved through the trees lining the narrow streets. Mira, a small brown dog with soft fur, rested in the back seat of a car. She was tired but happy, caring for her 7 tiny puppies. Each one was different. One had a small white patch on his nose, another had ears that flopped over, and one was especially tiny, almost fragile, struggling to keep up with the others. Mira loved them all deeply. Suddenly, everything changed. Mira felt the car stop and the door open. Before she could understand what was happening, a cold, hard surface pressed against her paws. The next moment, she and her puppies were on the rough road. The car door slammed, the engine roared, and the vehicle sped away, leaving them alone. Mira's heart pounded in fear, but she immediately pressed her body against her little ones, shielding them from the cold asphalt. The puppies squeaked and wriggled, frightened by the sudden movement. Mira licked each one quickly, murmuring gentle sounds to calm them. "Stay close to me. We are together. We will find safety," she seemed to say. One of the puppies, the tiniest one, trembled uncontrollably. Mira nudged him with her nose and made soft sounds, telling him that he was safe for now. Her mind raced, trying to find the best place where they could hide. Cars passed by and people hurried to work, unaware of the small family on the side of the road. Mira scanned the area carefully. She spotted a narrow path leading to a nearby field. The tall grass swayed in the morning light, and she realized it could hide her and her puppies from danger. With careful steps, she led them through the grass one by one, making sure none of the tiny ones got lost. The field was not perfect, but it was safe. Mira found a small hollow beneath a tree where she could settle. She arranged her puppies in a circle, wrapping her body around them to keep them warm. Their tiny breaths mingled with hers as they slowly stopped trembling. Mira stayed alert, ears twitching at every sound, eyes scanning the surrounding fields for any threat. She knew they could not stay here forever, but for the moment they were safe. Mira spent the morning searching for food. Her stomach growled, but she forced herself to focus on the puppies first. She wandered carefully to the edge of the town, where the smell of bread and other food was strong. Near a small bakery, she found crumbs and discarded pieces of bread. She picked them up gently and carried them back to her little family. The puppies' eyes lit up as they nibbled on the food. Mira felt a small surge of relief. Feeding them would give them strength to survive this first day. Hours passed, and Mira realized that staying in one place could be dangerous. She needed a plan. She explored the field further and found a small stream. The water was shallow and clean, perfect for her puppies to drink. Mira stayed near the water, making sure none of them strayed too far. She also learned to recognize the sounds of humans nearby. Some seemed friendly, while others rushed by without noticing them at all. Mira hoped for a kind person, someone who might offer help. Evening came and the air turned cooler. Mira arranged her puppies close to her again. She rested her head on the tiny bodies and felt a quiet strength within herself. She could not give up. Her family depended on her. As she watched the stars begin to appear in the sky, Mira made a silent promise. "No matter what happens, we will stay together. And we will survive." The puppies, sensing her determination, snuggled closer, their little bodies relaxing under her warmth. Night fell and the field grew darker. Mira's ears twitched at every sound, the distant barking of another dog, the soft rustling of leaves, and the occasional distant footsteps of humans. She stayed alert, keeping the puppies close. She whispered softly to them, telling stories in her own way about fields full of green grass, warm sunshine, and safe places where they could play freely. The puppies, comforted by her voice, slowly fell asleep one by one. The next morning, Mira knew she had to move again. Staying in the field too long could be dangerous, especially with the town so close. She carefully lifted her tiny puppies in her mouth one by one and carried them to a nearby forest path. The trees formed a natural wall, hiding them from view. Here the ground was soft and there were plenty of bushes for shelter. Mira began to feel hope. The forest was alive with other animals, some of whom she could watch for clues about food and safety. Days passed. Mira taught her puppies how to find small insects, berries, and safe water to drink. She showed them how to hide when humans or larger animals passed by. The puppies learned quickly, their small bodies growing stronger with each day. Mira felt proud even as she remained watchful. Life was not easy, but she had found strength she never knew she had. One afternoon, while Mira and the puppies rested near the stream, she noticed movement in the trees. A figure appeared, walking slowly and quietly. Mira's ears perked up. The figure stopped, watching them from a distance. Mira's instincts told her to be cautious. She moved her puppies behind a bush, keeping them safe. The figure, however, did not come closer aggressively. Instead, the person knelt down and reached into a bag holding out food. Mira's nose twitched at the smell of fresh bread and meat. Mira hesitated. Could this human be trusted? She watched carefully as the figure put the food near the edge of the forest and stepped back. Mira sniffed the air again. The smell was good and the human's movements seemed gentle. Slowly, she crept forward, leading her puppies. They ate quickly, their little tails wagging with excitement. Mira stayed near them, cautious but relieved. Perhaps this person could help them survive. As evening approached, Mira noticed the human still nearby, sitting quietly and watching. The puppies played under her supervision, their laughter like yips filling the air. Mira realized that maybe, just maybe, help had come in an unexpected form. She felt a small spark of hope in her heart. For the first time since being abandoned, she believed that her family might have a chance at a safe and happy life. Night fell once more, and Mira arranged her puppies close to her under the trees. The stars shone brightly above, and the moonlight filtered through the leaves. Mira looked at her 7 little ones and whispered a promise she would never break. We are a family. We will survive, and we will find happiness together. The puppies, tired from their day, snuggled closer. Mira kept watch, her eyes scanning the dark forest. She knew tomorrow would bring new challenges. But for now, they were safe, together and full of hope. And far in the distance, a shadow watched them from the edge of the forest, curious and silent. Mira had no idea that this figure would soon change their lives in a way she could never imagine. The next morning, Mira woke to the soft sounds of birds singing and leaves rustling in the gentle wind. Her 7 puppies stirred around her, stretching and yawning. Mira nudged them gently and guided them toward the small stream for water. They drank eagerly, their tiny tongues lapping up the cool, clear water. Mira watched them carefully, making sure none of them slipped or wandered too far. The forest was their temporary home, but Mira knew she had to be cautious. As the puppies played near the stream, Mira noticed the figure from yesterday standing quietly at the edge of the trees. This time, Mira approached slowly, keeping her puppies close. The human, a young woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile, held out a small basket filled with food. Mira sniffed the air and hesitated. She had learned to be careful around humans, but the woman did not move aggressively. Instead, she sat down on the soft grass, waiting patiently. Mira picked up a small piece of bread and tasted it. The smell was inviting and the taste was comforting. One by one, she encouraged her puppies to eat, their tiny tails wagging in excitement. The woman watched silently, her eyes soft and warm. Mira realized that this human might be different. She was not here to hurt them. After the meal, the woman reached into her basket and pulled out a small blanket. She placed it near the stream and stepped back, giving Mira and her puppies space. Mira hesitated for a moment, then guided her puppies onto the blanket. It was soft and warm, a comfort they had not felt in a long time. Mira curled around them, grateful for this unexpected kindness. Days passed, and the woman returned every morning with food and water. She never tried to touch Mira or the puppies too quickly. Instead, she stayed at a safe distance, allowing them to grow comfortable with her presence. Mira began to trust her slowly. She realized that this human, whose name was Lena, could help them survive. Mira also noticed that Lena was clever and patient. She left small toys and safe objects for the puppies to play with, and Mira found herself watching them with amazement. The puppies were learning and growing faster than ever. One afternoon, while Mira rested in the shade, Lena spoke softly. Although Mira could not understand the exact words, she could sense the kindness in her tone. Lena pointed to the forest and then to the road beyond. Mira understood. Lena was showing her a safe way to reach humans who might take care of her and her puppies. Mira felt a mixture of hope and fear. Could she really trust the world outside the forest after everything they had endured? That evening, Mira led her puppies to the edge of the forest. The grass was softer here and the sounds of the town were closer. Mira paused, sniffing the air. She could sense danger, but she also felt that this might be the moment their lives could change. Lena followed at a distance, leaving Mira in control. Mira's instincts told her that the puppies were ready to take this step. Suddenly, a small commotion arose near a nearby alley. Mira saw a stray cat struggling with a plastic bag. Without thinking, she ran over and helped the cat, pulling the bag away with her teeth. The cat stared at her with surprise and then darted away. Mira returned to her puppies, realizing that even in danger, she could teach them courage and kindness. The puppies looked at her with wide eyes, their admiration clear. The next day, Mira and her family moved closer to the town. They stayed in hidden corners, avoiding busy streets but finding small scraps of food along the way. Mira taught her puppies how to be careful around humans and vehicles. They learned quickly, following her instructions. Mira felt proud of their progress. Each day, the puppies grew stronger and more confident. One evening, as Mira rested, she noticed Lena approaching with something unusual. In her hands was a small box filled with soft cloths and tiny bottles. Mira watched curiously as Lena placed the items near the forest edge and stepped back. Mira sniffed the cloths and realized they were for keeping her puppies warm and healthy. The bottles contained liquid that smelled sweet. Mira understood that Lena had brought milk for the babies. Mira's heart filled with gratitude. The following morning, Mira led her puppies to the box. They drank the milk eagerly, their small bodies trembling with excitement and relief. Mira stayed close, making sure each puppy had enough. Afterward, they rested on the soft cloths, a comfort they had never known before. Mira felt hope rising inside her. Perhaps this was the beginning of a new life, one where they could be safe and happy. Days turned into a week. Mira and her puppies were growing stronger, and their trust in Lena grew as well. Mira began to notice that Lena had a plan. She would leave food and water near the forest in the mornings, then quietly disappear. Mira could see that Lena wanted them to grow confident enough to approach humans when they were ready. Mira felt that this was the right way. She did not want her puppies to fear the world. She wanted them to learn kindness and courage. One afternoon, Mira saw a small girl walking near the forest edge. The girl seemed lost, holding a small bag and looking worried. Mira approached cautiously, keeping her puppies close. The girl froze when she saw Mira and her family. Mira could sense fear and curiosity from the child. Slowly, Mira wagged her tail and moved a little closer, showing that they meant no harm. The girl knelt down and whispered softly. Mira tilted her head, listening carefully. The girl reached out her hand and Mira hesitated for a moment. She sniffed the air and felt the kindness in the child's presence. Then she nudged one of her puppies forward, showing the girl that they could be trusted. The child's face lit up with joy and she gently petted the small puppy. Mira's heart swelled with relief. That evening, Mira guided her puppies back to their hiding spot in the forest. They were tired but happy. Mira realized that trust could be built slowly, and kindness could be found in unexpected places. Lena watched from a distance, her eyes soft with pride. Mira understood that Lena had been teaching them a lesson in courage and patience, and it had worked. The next few days were filled with new experiences. Mira led her puppies closer to the town, showing them hidden corners where they could find food safely. They met a few humans who were kind, offering small pieces of bread or water. Mira taught her puppies to be careful but also to appreciate the kindness they found. The puppies learned quickly, their confidence growing each day. One evening, Mira looked at her family and whispered softly, "We have survived so much. Soon we will find a place where we can be safe forever." The puppies yipped happily, sensing her determination. Mira felt a warmth inside her heart. For the first time since being abandoned, she believed that their future could be bright. And far in the distance, Lena watched quietly, knowing that her small act of kindness had begun a journey that would change Mira and her puppies' lives forever. Mira woke to the soft golden light of morning filtering through the trees. Her 7 puppies stirred, stretching their tiny legs and yawning. Mira licked each one gently, making sure they were safe and warm. The forest had become their home for now, but Mira knew they could not stay hidden forever. She needed to find a safer place, somewhere they could live without fear. Mira led her puppies to the stream for water. They drank eagerly, their tiny tongues lapping at the cool liquid. Mira watched carefully, making sure none of them slipped or wandered too far. Her puppies were growing quickly, and she was proud of how strong and curious they had become. Each day they learned something new. One puppy had learned to climb small rocks near the stream, while another could chase tiny insects without tripping over its own paws. As they played near the water, Mira noticed a shadow moving at the edge of the forest. Lena, the kind human who had helped them before, stood quietly holding a small basket filled with food. Mira's tail wagged slightly and her puppies yipped excitedly. Mira knew Lena was there to help, but she also understood the need to stay cautious. Slowly, she led her puppies toward Lena. Lena placed the basket on the ground and stepped back. Mira sniffed the food carefully, then encouraged her puppies to eat. They devoured the bread and milk eagerly, their small bodies trembling with excitement. Mira stayed close, making sure each one had enough. After they had eaten, Lena spoke softly. Although Mira could not understand the words, she felt the kindness and patience in Lena's voice. Once the meal was finished, Mira guided her puppies deeper into the forest. She wanted to explore further, looking for signs of a safe place. As they walked, Mira taught her puppies how to recognize the smells of danger. She showed them how to hide behind bushes when humans or other animals approached, and how to move quietly through the forest. The puppies followed her carefully, learning quickly under her watchful eyes. As the day went on, Mira noticed smoke rising in the distance. Curious, she led her puppies toward it, keeping a safe distance. Soon they saw a small village nestled among the hills. Mira paused, unsure if it was safe. She sniffed the air and noticed the presence of humans. Some were working in gardens while others carried baskets or talked quietly to one another. Mira felt a mixture of hope and caution. Could this village offer them the safety they needed? Mira decided to observe from a distance. She found a small patch of tall grass where her puppies could hide. From there she watched the villagers. They seemed kind and gentle, helping one another and caring for animals around them. Mira's heart lifted. Perhaps this was the place where her family could finally find safety. Over the next few days, Mira led her puppies closer to the village. She showed them hidden paths and quiet corners where they could rest without being noticed. Mira also taught her puppies how to recognize friendly humans. She wanted them to understand that not all humans were dangerous, just as Lena had shown them. The puppies learned quickly, gaining confidence with each passing day. One morning, Mira saw a young boy near the edge of the village carrying a small basket of food. He noticed Mira and her puppies, but instead of chasing them away, he froze. Mira tilted her head and wagged her tail slightly, showing that they meant no harm. Slowly, she moved a little closer, keeping her puppies behind her. The boy smiled softly and placed some bread on the ground. Mira allowed her puppies to eat first, then took a small piece herself. The boy, whose name was Nico, began leaving food for them each day. Mira stayed hidden at first, watching from a safe distance, but she noticed that Nico was patient and kind. He never tried to touch them too quickly, giving them space to grow comfortable with him. Mira realized that Nico, like Lena, could be trusted. Slowly, she allowed her puppies to play closer to him, teaching them that humans could be friends if approached carefully. One evening, as Mira rested with her puppies, she noticed a sudden storm approaching. Dark clouds covered the sky, and the wind began to howl through the trees. Mira quickly gathered her puppies, guiding them to a small abandoned shed near the edge of the village. It was dark and slightly damp, but it would protect them from the storm. The puppies huddled close to Mira, shivering from both fear and cold. The rain began to fall, heavy and relentless. Mira stayed alert, listening for any signs of danger. The shed protected them from the worst of the storm, but Mira knew they needed a better home soon. She whispered softly to her puppies, comforting them with gentle licks and soft murmurs. The puppies slowly relaxed, trusting Mira to keep them safe. After the storm passed, Mira led her puppies out of the shed. The air smelled fresh and the forest glistened with rain. Mira felt a renewed determination. She knew they were close to finding a safe place and she was not going to give up. She guided her puppies toward the village once again, careful to stay hidden but ready to seek help if they found someone trustworthy. The following morning, Mira noticed Nico standing at the edge of the forest. Holding a small basket and calling softly, Mira approached cautiously, her puppies following. Nico smiled and placed the basket on the ground. Inside were blankets, food, and water. Mira sniffed each item carefully, realizing that Nico had prepared everything for them. Mira's heart swelled with gratitude. Mira allowed her puppies to explore the basket, discovering the soft blankets and tasty food. Nico watched quietly, giving them space while showing patience and care. Mira realized that they had finally found humans who would help them. She felt a sense of relief she had not known in a long time. For the first time, she believed that her family could have a safe home. Days turned into weeks. Mira and her puppies grew stronger and healthier. Nico visited them every day, leaving food, blankets, and toys. Mira taught her puppies to trust him, showing them that humans could be kind and gentle. The puppies learned quickly, playing and exploring with growing confidence. Mira felt proud of how far they had come. One afternoon, Mira noticed a small building at the edge of the village with a warm light inside. Nico approached the building and opened the door, inviting Mira and her puppies inside. Mira hesitated at first, but the smell of warmth and safety drew her closer. She stepped inside with her puppies, realizing that this was a place where they could finally be safe from danger. Inside, the room was warm and comfortable. There were soft blankets, bowls of food and water, and toys for the puppies to play with. Mira guided her puppies to explore the space, making sure each one was comfortable. Mira felt a deep sense of relief. After all the hardships, they had finally found a home where they could be safe and cared for. That evening, Mira curled around her puppies, watching them play and explore. She realized that their journey had been long and difficult, but it had taught them courage, patience, and trust. Mira whispered softly to them, "We have survived, and now we can live safely. We will always be a family." The puppies yipped happily, their tails wagging in agreement, and far outside the village, Lena watched from a distance, smiling quietly. She had guided Mira and her family to the humans who would care for them. Mira did not know it yet, but their journey was just beginning. They would face new adventures and challenges, but together, they had learned the most important lesson of all. They were strong, brave, and capable of overcoming anything as long as they stayed together. Mira and her 7 puppies had grown stronger and healthier over the past few weeks. The warmth of their new home near the village had brought them comfort and safety. Nico visited every day, bringing food, blankets, and toys. Mira had learned to trust him completely, and her puppies had begun to explore the world with curiosity and courage. Life was peaceful, but Mira knew that every moment of safety was something to be cherished, for life could be unpredictable. One morning, Mira woke to the sound of distant barking. Her ears twitched, and she lifted her head to listen. The sound grew louder and closer. Mira's instincts told her to be cautious. She gathered her puppies and moved them behind a small wooden fence near the edge of the village. The puppies huddled close, trembling slightly. Mira whispered softly to them, her voice steady and comforting. "Stay close to me. We will face this together." Soon Mira saw a group of stray dogs approaching. They were larger than her family, with sharp teeth and loud growls. Mira stood protectively in front of her puppies, her tail stiff and her body tense. The puppies looked at her with wide eyes, sensing both fear and determination. Mira knew she could not allow them to be harmed. She took a deep breath and prepared to defend her family if necessary. The leader of the stray dogs stepped forward. Mira could sense his confidence and strength. He growled, circling Mira and her puppies. Mira did not back down. She barked sharply, showing that she would protect her family. The puppies echoed her barks, small but determined. Mira's courage surprised the strangers. She was smaller, but her heart was fierce. Just as the tension grew, a familiar voice called from behind. "Mira, stay calm." Nico appeared, holding a small whistle. He blew it, and the sound startled the stray dogs. They paused, confused and cautious. Mira realized that Nico was here to help. She guided her puppies toward him, moving carefully to avoid provoking the larger dogs. Nico knelt down, spreading his arms and speaking softly, calming both Mira and the strangers. After a few tense moments, the stray dogs slowly retreated. Mira watched them disappear into the distance, her heart still pounding. She looked at her puppies, who were now trembling but safe. Mira licked each one, reassuring them. They had survived the first challenge of the day, and she knew that their strength and courage had made a difference. The experience reminded Mira that the world could be dangerous, even in a place that seemed safe. She decided that her family needed more protection, and began searching for a better home. Mira explored the village carefully, learning about quiet corners, hidden paths, and friendly humans. She showed her puppies how to move safely, teaching them to recognize danger and to trust the humans who had helped them. Days passed, and Mira discovered a small abandoned shed on the outskirts of the village. The shed was sturdy, with walls that would protect them from weather and predators. Mira inspected it carefully, making sure there were no hidden dangers inside. Once she was satisfied, she guided her puppies into the shed. They explored the space eagerly, sniffing every corner. Mira felt a sense of relief. This would be their safe place, at least for now. One afternoon, as Mira rested outside the shed, She noticed a bright light in the distance. She lifted her head and sniffed the air. The smell was unusual but not threatening. Mira guided her puppies closer to investigate. As they approached, they saw a small group of villagers carrying food and blankets. Among them was Nico, smiling warmly. Mira felt her tail wag with excitement. They were not alone, and help had come again. The villagers entered the shed carefully, setting down blankets, bowls, and fresh food. Mira allowed her puppies to explore the new items, discovering soft blankets and toys. The puppies yipped happily, their energy returning after the stressful days. Mira watched them with pride, realizing that their courage and patience had brought them this far. The villagers smiled at her and her puppies, showing kindness and care. Mira felt hope rising inside her heart. As the days passed, Mira and her family grew stronger. The puppies learned new skills, exploring the village safely and interacting with friendly humans. Mira taught them courage and kindness, showing them how to respond to danger with intelligence rather than fear. The puppies learned quickly, their confidence growing each day. Mira felt proud of their progress and grateful for the humans who had helped them. One evening, Mira noticed something unusual near the edge of the forest. A small rabbit appeared, looking frightened and trapped near a bush. Mira's instincts told her to help. She guided her puppies to watch quietly as she approached the rabbit. Using gentle nudges and calm movements, Mira led the rabbit to safety. The puppies watched, learning an important lesson about compassion and bravery. Mira whispered softly, "Helping others makes us stronger and kinder." The following morning, Mira sensed another challenge approaching. A sudden storm gathered over the village. Dark clouds covered the sky and heavy rain began to fall. Mira quickly gathered her puppies, leading them to the abandoned shed. The rain pounded on the roof and the wind howled through the trees. Mira stayed close to her puppies, keeping them warm and calm. She whispered words of reassurance, and the puppies snuggled closer, trusting her completely. As the storm raged on, Mira thought about the journey that had brought them here. They had been abandoned, faced hunger and fear, and encountered dangers in the forest. Yet, through it all, they had survived. Mira realized that their courage, love, and determination had guided them through every challenge. She looked at her puppies, their tiny faces wet from the rain but filled with trust and hope. Mira felt a deep sense of pride and love. When the storm finally passed, the forest and village were fresh and clean. Mira led her puppies outside, showing them the beauty of the world after hardship. The sun shone brightly, and the air smelled of flowers and wet grass. Mira encouraged her puppies to explore safely, teaching them to enjoy the small joys of life while remaining cautious. The puppies ran and played, their laughter like yips echoing through the village. Mira realized that their journey was far from over. There would be new challenges, but she knew they could face them together. She had learned the importance of courage, trust, and love. Her puppies had learned these lessons as well, growing stronger and braver each day. Mira whispered softly to them, "We have faced the hardest days and we will face more, but together, we are unstoppable." That evening, Mira rested with her puppies in the shed. Nico visited, bringing food and blankets. Mira allowed her puppies to play and explore while she watched carefully, making sure they remained safe. Mira knew that the humans around them were kind, but she also knew that they must always be aware of danger. Her heart was filled with gratitude and hope. Far beyond the village, Lena watched quietly from the trees. She smiled softly, knowing that Mira and her family had faced another test and had grown stronger. Mira did not know that Lena's quiet guidance had helped prepare her for the challenges that lay ahead. Mira and her puppies had survived so much, and their bond had become unbreakable. As night fell, Mira curled around her puppies, their small bodies warm against her. She looked at the stars and whispered softly, "We have survived the storm, and we will survive anything that comes next. We are a family and nothing can break us." The puppies yipped in agreement, their tiny tails wagging happily. Mira felt a sense of peace, knowing that they had found safety, love, and hope, even after everything they had endured. And in the quiet of the night, Mira knew that their greatest challenge might still be ahead. Yet she was ready, for she had learned that love, courage, and family could overcome any obstacle. The morning sun rose gently over the village, casting golden light across the small streets and the nearby forest. Mira stirred, lifting her head to watch her 7 puppies stretch and yawn. Each one had grown stronger and more confident over the past weeks. Mira felt a deep sense of pride and love for her little family. They had survived so much together, and now their future seemed brighter than ever. Mira led her puppies to the small stream near the forest edge for water. The puppies drank eagerly, and Mira watched them carefully, ensuring that none wandered too far. She knew that life outside the forest could still hold dangers, but Mira had taught her puppies to be cautious, brave, and kind. Each day they explored a little more, learning about the world while staying safe under Mira's watchful eye. Nico appeared shortly after, carrying a basket filled with fresh food and blankets. Mira wagged her tail slightly, signaling her trust. The puppies yipped happily at the sight of him, rushing forward to investigate the basket. Nico smiled warmly, setting down the items and giving them space to explore. Mira watched carefully as her puppies played with small toys and ate the food, feeling grateful for the humans who had helped them. Over the next few days, Mira began to notice more villagers showing kindness. They left small pieces of food near the forest and smiled when they saw Mira and her puppies from a distance. Mira approached cautiously at first, keeping her puppies behind her, but she began to learn that these humans were trustworthy. Each day she led her puppies a little closer to the village, allowing them to meet kind strangers and feel the warmth of safety. One afternoon, Mira noticed a small child sitting near the village square, crying softly. Mira's instincts told her to investigate. She carefully approached with her puppies, keeping them close. The child looked up with wide, frightened eyes. Mira wagged her tail and let one of her puppies, the tiniest one, approach first. The child reached out a hand slowly, smiling as the small puppy nuzzled it gently. Mira realized that trust could be shared, and that kindness could bring comfort to others, not just her own family. The villagers soon noticed Mira and her puppies. They watched quietly, seeing how gentle and brave the small family was. Mira guided her puppies to behave politely, showing that they were friendly and trusting. The villagers smiled and began to leave food and blankets in small corners of the village, providing Mira and her family with safety and comfort. Mira's heart swelled with gratitude. For the first time since being abandoned, she felt that she truly belonged somewhere. One evening, as Mira rested with her puppies under the shelter of the shed, Nico approached with a big smile. He had brought a surprise. It was a small, cozy room inside the village, prepared especially for Mira and her puppies. The room had soft beds, warm blankets, food and water bowls, and even a few toys. Mira sniffed the room carefully, then guided her puppies inside. They explored eagerly, discovering the comfort and safety of their new home. Mira curled around her puppies, watching them play and rest in their safe space. She felt a deep sense of relief. After all the hardships, her family finally had a place to call home. Mira realized that their journey had taught them courage, patience, and trust. Each puppy had grown brave and clever, learning from the challenges they had faced. Mira whispered softly to them, "We are together, and we are safe. Our family will always be strong." The next morning, Mira noticed Lena at the edge of the village, smiling quietly. Mira ran toward her cautiously, her puppies following. Lena knelt down and petted Mira gently, then looked at the puppies with warmth. Mira understood that Lena had been guiding them all along, helping them find the humans who would care for them. Mira barked softly, a sound of gratitude, and the puppies yipped in agreement. Lena smiled and stood back, knowing her work was done. As the days passed, Mira and her puppies settled into their new life. They had enough food, warmth, and space to explore safely. Mira taught her puppies about trust, courage, and kindness. They learned how to play together, how to rest safely, and how to approach humans politely. Mira watched them with pride, realizing that they were ready for a future full of adventure, friendship, and happiness. One afternoon, Mira noticed a small group of children approaching the shed. They carried small toys and bowls of food. Mira stepped forward cautiously, but the children smiled and set down the items gently. The puppies rushed forward, exploring the new toys and tasting the treats. Mira watched carefully, making sure her family remained safe while also learning that these humans were friendly. The children laughed and played with the puppies, and Mira realized that her family was finally part of a larger, caring community. The villagers continued to support Mira and her puppies. They left fresh food daily, cleaned the area, and provided warmth during cold nights. Mira guided her puppies to approach the villagers politely and with respect. The puppies learned quickly, wagging their tails and gently nuzzling the humans who helped them. Mira felt proud of their progress. Her family had grown brave, clever, and kind-hearted through all their experiences. One evening, as the sun set and painted the village in warm colors, Mira gathered her puppies together. They sat quietly beside her, listening to the soft sounds of the village. Mira licked each one gently and whispered softly, "We have been through so much, but now we are safe, loved, and strong. Nothing can break our family." The puppies yipped happily, curling close to her for warmth and comfort. Night fell, and the village grew quiet. Mira stayed alert, keeping watch over her puppies as they slept. She knew that the world could still hold surprises, but for the first time, she felt secure. Her puppies were healthy, brave, and happy. Mira's heart swelled with love and gratitude. She had guided them through danger, hardship, and fear, and now they had found a life filled with safety and care. Weeks later, Mira noticed that her puppies were growing into strong, confident young dogs. They played together, exploring the village and surrounding fields. Mira guided them, teaching them the lessons she had learned. The villagers watched with admiration and affection. Mira had transformed from a small abandoned dog into a mother who had nurtured her family through hardship and helped them grow strong and wise. One bright morning, Mira led her puppies to the stream. They drank eagerly and splashed in the water, their tiny bodies glistening in the sunlight. Mira watched them with pride. She realized that their journey had been long and difficult, but it had shaped them into brave, kind, and clever dogs. Mira whispered softly, "We have survived everything together, and now we will live happily as a family." The puppies yipped and wagged their tails in agreement. As the sun set over the village, Mira lay down beside her puppies in their cozy home. Nico had left food and blankets for them, and the villagers had ensured their safety and comfort. Mira looked around, seeing the love and care that surrounded her family. She realized that their life had changed completely. They had gone from being abandoned and alone to being loved and protected. Mira's heart was filled with joy. That night, Mira closed her eyes and listened to the gentle breathing of her puppies. She felt the warmth of their small bodies against hers and the peace of knowing they were safe. Mira knew that the journey had been long and challenging, but it had taught her family strength, trust, and love. Mira whispered softly, "We are together and nothing can take our family apart." The puppies yipped softly, curling close to her in comfort. And so, Mira and her 7 puppies began a new chapter of their lives. They had survived abandonment, danger, and hardship, but they had also discovered courage, trust, and the kindness of humans. Mira knew that the future would hold new adventures, but she was ready. Together, they were strong, happy, and unstoppable. Mira looked at her puppies one last time before closing her eyes for sleep. They were safe, loved, and full of life. Mira's heart was filled with gratitude, pride, and joy. She had guided her family through darkness into light, and now they were finally home.